Hi, this is Trent from HNB.cc, and I'm going to be reviewing Jao Fah, which is a movie adaptation about the current situation in Laos right now. Just so you know, it's not about the secret war in Laos back in the third quarter of the 1900s. First of all, I would like to comment on the DVD front cover of the movie. This cover is extremely misleading. I accidentally watched this movie thinking that it was going to be a war parody or something. Because when you look at the cover, you see my boo with a machine gun, and I thought, wow, so she's gonna be Rambo, huh, or something like that. And then I pan across the cover, and I see the German American guy who's pretty well known among the Hmong filming industry because of his roles in a lot of other comedies. So after seeing this cover, I thought, hey, maybe this is going to be a funny movie about, mocking the war or something. And boy, was I wrong. I guess it was a good thing that I watched this movie with no expectations at all, because by the end of this movie, I was totally, like, it just totally smacked me in the face and blew me away. So basically, the movie starts out right in the middle of the action. Jao Fah, or as some people like to call them, rebels, and some refer to them as anti-communists, but I prefer to call them freedom fighters. I mean, come on, they have red headbands, which is kind of cheesy, but they also have AK-47s, or in this case, fake replicas of AK-47s, which is the standard weapon of choice for freedom fighters all over the world. So then it shifts over to two brothers. Their dad, who happens to be the leader of the freedom fighters, comes home to warn them about the approaching army, but unfortunately they didn't make it in time. Only the two brothers escaped. One thing that kind of bugged me here was the fact that they referred to the army as Blolia Te Nyala, but in fact they speak Thai and are obviously Thai people. But that's just kind of nitpicking. It doesn't really affect the story much. It would have been great if they actually got some Vietnamese people or Blah people who are willing to play the parts, but that's not too much to worry about. And then there's this other village that has also been attacked by the communist army, and they're on their run also. And one thing I have to mention here, I honestly have to give credit to the people who made this movie, because the explosion effects are very decent and the cinematography is extremely good and symbolic. A camera that just stays still while capturing everything does not really reach out to the audience and does very little to engross the viewers. However, in this movie, the mechanisms such as camera shakes and perspective viewpoints are just a few of the many aspects of the ways that the director makes us feel as if we're really part of the group that of Hmong people that are trying to get away from the communist army. So speaking of camera effects, there are some scenes in this movie that just totally killed me emotionally. Whether it be because it was like hauntingly beautiful, or it was like intimidating, like making you mad, or whether it was just a crazy tearjerker scene. Some of these scenes may contain spoilers, but just seeing them in this review won't do you any good. You must see it for yourself with the background music and everything to get the full effect of the emotions that each scene conveys. There are four scenes in particular that really got to me. The first scene is this scene where the two brothers, after having escaped the communist army, they come back to their village to see that the once lively place that they lived in is now nothing but rubbles, as the skeletal structures of some of the houses are still standing. This shot was very beautiful. It did not allow you to see the expression and emotions of the two brothers, but what you kind of somewhat feel how they feel, if that makes any sense. That's how powerful of a scene this was. The second scene that tugged at my emotions was the poison water scene, where a family was thirsty, so they decided to gather some water from a nearby stream, not knowing that it has already been poisoned by the army. The background music fits perfectly well with this scene, and just rewatching this scene definitely sends chills down my spine and always gives me goosebumps. And okay, so then what happens was the main guy meets up with a journalist slash reporter, which is the German American guy from the UN who wants to expose what the Communist Army is up to. So they get captured but not killed by the army and is taken away as slaves. And the third scene, well, which leads up to the third scene. So the third scene that really got to me was when they were locked in the cage while being drenched by the rain. This scene brought me a mix of emotions. I was furious, yet at the same time it made me really heavy-hearted. Like you couldn't like tell whether or not the guys were crying because of the rain, and some of the people were uncontrollably shaking from the cold rain. While very powerful stuff here. The last scene that really did it for me was the labor scene where the guys were down in the mud working in the rice paddy. Now this is what I call commitment. When it gets to the point that there's mud on the camera lenses, you know very well for the fact that the camera guy has to be drenched in mud also. I like how the people making this movie weren't afraid to get down and dirty to really capture the emotions of the captured slaves who are working here. The abuse scenes look really real too, and it's pretty disturbing too. Another big thing about this movie that most people fail to see is the symbolism. Watch closely and listen closely and you'll probably be aware of it. Every one of the men in this movie mostly refer to each other as Guti, Gumba, or Tilao, making it seem as if we're not just people who are experiencing the same fate, but like we're a big family who's going through like rather harsh times. Or yeah, and then I don't know if you noticed this, but the most symbolic yet implicit thing in this movie is the Hmong knife. The main character is always carrying one, and there's not a single time where it doesn't help him at all. The Hmong knife, which is made using our own strength and will, is considered extremely important in the Hmong society. Even today, when everyone would prefer to use the Hmong knife rather than store-bought knives to cut meat, you know? Maybe we just don't realize it, but whenever I hold on to a stranger or a cousin's Hmong knife, I cannot help to feel that there's been like hundreds of other men who have held this knife before me, which to me feels like a handshake with every single one of them, every single time. So enough of that. Now to talk about the flaws of this movie. This fight scenes were okay, not the best, not very well choreographed, but still passable. Some of the Thai actors were really off. The Hmong actors did a better job in my opinion. I didn't really get into the romance part of this movie either, although you know you might. I personally don't really favor romance in war films and such. Other than that, there's not much to complain about here. So I'll end my review here so that I won't spoil any more for you. It was a great film overall. I would totally recommend it to anyone to watch. A very powerful film. Just prepare some tissues just in case if you're kind of emotionally unstable or something. The actors and actresses did a fantastic job, and you'll be seeing a lot of cameos of familiar faces of people from the Hmong filming industry throughout the film. I'm not sure what kind of budget this film was on, but it totally paid off. Hats off to the director of this film. Again, this is Trent from hmb.cc. Thank you for watching and have a great day.